Okay. Honestly, this is one of the very few videos where I don't really know where to begin or how to begin. I've just rushed home after my first viewing of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Man, was it great. Obviously, these are just first impressions, and I really wanted to share as many of them as I could while it's all fresh and before my second viewing at the IMAX cinema on Sunday. Today is the evening of 15th of December, and I've just returned from Rogue One, a Star Wars story. My first impressions are extremely positive. This was the kind of Star Wars separate standalone story I was hoping for. Maybe after a second, third, and 15th viewing, I will have some things to notice and dislike, or maybe even argue with. I'm sure there are flaws, and I've managed to stay away from all kinds of spoilers, or most of the spoilers, of course, before my first watching of the movie. And I'm glad, because I was surprised a couple of times. Spoilers will be present in this video, so now is the time for you guys, in case you haven't read it in the title and the video description, stop watching if you haven't seen the movie yet. So many hitbacks, hints, Easter eggs, and cool references. I'm just going to mention a few. The first time Bail Organa appeared in the shadows without saying anything. Honestly, at first I thought he's not going to mention anything in the whole movie. Of course, R2 and 3PO had to appear, because there cannot be a Star Wars movie without at least one of the two droids being present and saying something. We had to see Leia. Honestly, I didn't know. I didn't expect we were going to see Leia, but it was only logical. After all, she's the one that receives the plan for the Death Star. We've had absolutely outstanding performance by the best crew ever possible to be selected for this. Felicity Jones is apparently a known name, even though I personally didn't know her and never followed her career. Diego Luna is by far my new #1 favorite Star Wars character and actor. He's a very funny guy, very interesting to watch and listen to in interviews and in dialogues. And I think he played an outstanding role. I expected his role to be much more secondary and less important than what it actually was. He played a perfect rebel soldier, the true type of rebel soldier, ready to sacrifice not just everything, but even more than this. And he played it very nicely, and he showed the inner strength, the inner war, if you wish, that he was leading with himself and with his beliefs. He was doing everything for this rebellion, even though he knows some of the things he is doing are not right or shouldn't be right. But he believes in the cause, and he expresses that more with actions than with words. Yes, he did say it in the movie once or twice, I believe. Once when he was volunteering for joining the Jin squad of rebels. But other than that, he played very well. He's a lot funny during interviews compared to what his character was about. I don't know if this was intentional, but if he's so very different in real life than he is as presented with his character in the movie, then he's even a better actor than I had. Again, another person who I've never heard before. He's actually Diego Luna, again playing Cassian Andor. The droid, my god, I think I have another favorite droid from the Star Wars universe. K2 is so much more fun than 3PO. Oh, I hate to say that to my all-time favorite actor, Anthony Daniels. He's outstanding panel host and everything else, but K2 totally stole the show without even trying. Man, all of the jokes from that droid was really funny, and he's precise, he's exact, he's funny, he's clever. The amount of That's another topic. I'm just rushing through all the things that pop in my mind. The amount of military tactics, military organizations, military terms, and everything related to a real war scenario was really present in that movie. Back on the characters, I really must explain how much I loved the character Baze, who actually I thought was Base with an S, as in a base, as in the physical thing, base. But never mind, he's Baze, B-A-Z-E, now that I'm seeing the name. And it's another name I've never heard before, Wen Jiang. Perfectly played the heavy gunnery, heavy badass soldier, combined together or paired together with Chirat or Zirat. I'm still not exactly sure how the proper pronunciation should be. I believe it's Chirat, but the blind guy was secondary only to the droid in terms of funny lines and funny behavior. I'm one with the Force. No, what was it? Damn it! He's repeated that so many times, and I just forgot. What was the line? The Force is with me, and I'm one in the Force. The Force is with me, and I'm one in the Force. Okay, if I repeat that 15 more times, will it still be funny? He repeated that more than 15 times, and then Base kept repeating it after, unfortunately, Chirrut died, and it didn't stop being. I'm sorry to say, to some of you it probably wasn't funny because yes, the movie was a tragic, dramatic story, especially in the end, but it was exactly the proper ending for all of these rebels. We've heard and we've seen more than enough of these silly happy ending fairy tale stories from Disney. And now that I've mentioned Disney, I must say out of the two movies Disney has created with Star Wars in the title, this one is the better one. I don't know if it's because it has a tragic ending, or maybe because it showed the true power of the walkers and the fact that these walkers are actually capable of being destructive and at the same time easily to defeat with some serious firepower. In the beginning of episode 5, the AT-AT was shown as nearly indestructible until a silly rope was tied around their legs. But now, here, in Rogue One, we've seen that true firepower, rockets, rocket launchers, explosions, and the starships actually can damage the Bulgarian version of the translation of the Walker keeps popping in my mind. I apologize if by mistake I mention it here or there. It sounds totally different. I might as well tell you actually, it's Kanonerka. It sounds really fun, right? And it's actually a female form of the word. Anyway, my other all-time favorite actor, one of the few whose names I knew before the movie, before he was announced for this movie, Forrest Whitaker, brilliant role. He plays that kind of voice characters and that kind of dramatic characters more often than probably he should, but nonetheless he played a perfect Saw Gerrera. I don't know why they went for Gerrera. Gerrera didn't really look like his character. And what is this? Is it Portuguese or Spanish or something around those lines? It was a very interesting character. The name Gerrera didn't really fit much with the accent, with the speech, with the behavior, and with everything else. But nonetheless, he was a fun character to have in the movie. And then, of course, Galen Erso, the father of Jyn Erso, played by Mads Mikkelsen. Honestly, in the very first scene in the opening, I felt like I'm watching a modern or a Star Wars version of Braveheart. It's probably because I haven't seen all the movies in the world, and this one is more than popular enough, plus I've seen it probably 10, 15 times, Braveheart. But this scene from the opening of Rogue One reminded me more or less of the first minutes or first moments from Braveheart. It's really different because actually they didn't come here for the child, they actually came for the father, but that's probably just not important. Krenek, played by Ben Mendelsohn, an actor that I know by name, but I don't recall having seen many of his movies where he starred. He played a very good role, and combining his presence, his specific kind of a behavior of a leader who actually struggles to be a leader, and he doesn't seem to have those capabilities of leading anybody. He spends most of his time complaining and asking for to be allowed to lead anything or something. Apparently, he was very proud of coming up with the idea and constructing or leading the construction of the Death Star. Oh, let's talk about the digital presence of a great admiral. Yes, Tarkin was not real because, rest in peace, the actor perished away not too long ago, or actually long ago. Anyway, the digital presence of Tarkin, I knew that. I think everybody knew that way before the film was even finished shooting, and because that was a public known secret. And I personally expected, because he's a 3D or CG character, I expected his presence to be very minimal, but no, he actually played a vital role. And he wasn't just a one-time appearance for 15 seconds from the backside. Which brings me back to the scene at the very end of the movie with Leia. Who the hell was this character playing Leia? Was that another computer-generated face? That's something I have to research, because, again, I've rushed home, I started my webcam, lit up the green screen, and started talking for you guys because I wanted to catch my expressions and my feelings while they were still fresh, and before I had any time to start digging, reading, researching, and conversing with other people who have already seen the movie. For Bulgaria here, this was the second technically showing, because I went for the 8 p.m. Movie, and there was an hour early, the first showing. That's probably not really important. Let's talk about the dramatic ending. The way that all of our heroes, we've fallen in love with these characters, even though we didn't know any of them at all. And most of them were not natively English speaking. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I personally loved all of them. Or maybe it's just the direction and the style of the movie that was really well done and really well constructed. I must really praise the director, because from every single interview with Gareth Edwards that we've heard, read, or seen in the months and years before this movie was finally shown to us in the cinema, this guy is a pure fan. You can see and experience how almost all of these characters, or the actors that played the characters, were true fans, true Star Wars fans, just like me. Most of these guys are probably around my age, or maybe a little bit older. Maybe some of them are younger. It's really hard to say. I have to dig around, and let's see my new favorite. Where is he? Let's see, how old is Diego? Diego is 5 years older than me, and he's more or less my generation. He grew up with Star Wars. Everybody here grew up with Star Wars. I believe Felicity Jones is somewhere around 30. Oh, I see, she's apparently, 33? Plus minus, because I saw the birthday is October. All of these actors grew up just like me, probably just like you, with Star Wars as a small child. We've witnessed Star Wars for the first time as a small kid, and there is a difference between me and someone who might be from an older generation, let's say 40 plus, because you guys, I hope that you are watching. It's not just us, the kids. That's silly. I'll probably have to erase it from the finished version of the video. Anyway, my point was that completely lost my mind. Oh yeah, we grew up with Star Wars as this small children, and it's different when you experience this kind of a movie when you're grown up, or at least a teenager, and when you see the lightsaber fighting when you're 4 or 5 years old, and you have those weird memories from your first viewings many years ago. I'm currently actually describing my own memory. I'm hoping that at least some of you would share the similar kind of memory from your childhood when you saw the first original trilogy 4, 5, and 6 on videotapes, and you were so excited. I never had a chance to see Star Wars in the cinema, because I'm born 7 years after the first movie was released. And if I have to have a regret for being from those so-called younger generations, that's one of them. I would love to be able to prize and show off and share with everybody that I was there for the first ever Star Wars movie at the cinema theater. But never mind, let's go back to Rogue One. This is a complete story. From the beginning to the end, a complete story with a very good plot, an interesting plot, and kind of a few cool twists. My god, the Vader lightsaber and the way he was annihilating the poor rebels. Whoa. At the end, when we actually saw Leia, I was kind of hoping that they will show us the next scene, maybe make the transition when Leia is physically inserting that chip into R2 and telling them and recording the message for Obi-Wan, but no, the movie actually ended right there, and don't sit through the end credits. There is nothing happening after that, or at least there wasn't when I sat there. It's not a Marvel movie, so I think nobody else pretty much does that. Show some bits and pieces from after the story or after the movie, after the end credits have finished rolling. But this is it, my first impression. My second impression is going to be on Sunday morning because it's going to be at the only IMAX, but it's really big and really cool IMAX cinema here in Sofia. And I'm really, really eager to see it on the, well, cinema is always called the big screen, but this is, my God, a giant screen. And that's Ida here next to me. She sacrificed her afternoon walk for me to be able to see Star Wars because I rushed from work over to the mall immediately. Anyway, I would love to hear you guys. What do you think about this movie? My first impressions obviously were extremely positive, but what the hell can you expect from a silly Star Wars junkie? I mean, after all, we are all, most of us, okay, are all Star Wars junkies, and I would seriously doubt that many of you will come home regretting that you've paid whatever the price was for Rogue One. I personally paid about €8 for the ticket and some, well, for one ticket, obviously. I paid in total about 20-something euros with some food and, you know, all right. Ending up the video with a big question. Your opinions, come on. I've tried to share mine. Don't know if it really looks good or sound good because everything is a total mess up in my head. But I wanted to have my webcam showing my expressions because I hope that you would find that funny. I'm really overexcited. It's very late in the evening. 1 hour from now, I actually have to calm down, sit and watch the BioWare producer live stream for Star Wars The Old Republic, the last one for December, and the last one for 2016. Wrapping up the video, see you next time.